Hey guys, Whitney here and welcome to TEFL Pros. On today's call, I sat down with our recent grad, Christian, and Christian's story might be similar to a lot of yours out there. So he got started on his TEFL right after his college graduation. He is planning to move to Japan in the near future. So if those things sound relatable to you, if you have perhaps been thinking about doing the same, I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy hearing about Christian's experience on the TEFLPros Plus course. Hey, Christian.
Hey, Whitney.
How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing well. Great to see you on a call. Congratulations on graduating from the program.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking some time out of your day, Christian, and hopping on these calls and just providing folks with a little bit about your own TEFL journey. Yeah. So, the first thing that I always ask folks, Christian, is could you describe for us a little bit about your life prior to getting your TEFL certification?
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I decided to go into the TEFL program was because I didn't really have much teaching experience. So I didn't have much, classroom knowledge or lesson plan experience. So, and that's been one of my biggest concerns about, potentially going overseas and teaching, is not having any sort of background in the lesson planning or just seeing what English language classroom looks like, what activities, how to, get a lesson to the full 50 minutes and not have it run out at the 25-30 minute mark and scrambling for ideas of what to do. So that was my biggest concerns, and that was basically where I was at before I started the TEFL program. So,
and now just in terms of like practical items here to give people some perspective, had you graduated from college yet when you started your TEFL?
Yeah, I graduated about 2 months before I started the TEFL program.
Okay. All right. And did you have a specific plan in mind, Christian, in terms of like where you wanted to go or what you were hoping to do with your TEFL?
Yeah, I've always been looking in Japan because I've been there a few times before. So, and I was really looking at the JET program, which is what I'm applying for right now. So I was wanting to get the TEFL certification because, it gives you that extra shine on your application and it puts you in a completely different league than the people that don't have it.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yeah, you want to be as competitive as possible on those programs. That makes total sense. So, all right, you were just coming out of college, very interested in a program like JET, and found out, okay, I need this thing called a TEFL. And so I'm guessing that led you down some path of research. Was that kind of the next step for you? So can you tell us a little bit about what that research process was like?
Well, I tried looking around like at the big named ones like the TESOL program and stuff like that, and like TEFL.com and some of those. And I was looking at some people, like some blogs and stuff that talked about TFL certification stuff. And I saw that there are some programs out there where you can finish it in as quickly as a day and you don't really get anything from it, but it checks the box for you. So, the applicants will see that you have it, but you didn't really get anything out of it. And I didn't really want to do that because, like I said, I didn't really know much about teaching and I didn't want to get a certification and not learn anything from it or not have anything to show for it. And so the reason I chose this program was because I saw that you'd have the portfolio coming out of it, of having your own lesson plans that you made that you can show to potential employers. And that was one of the biggest hooks for me was like, I'll have things that I made myself, which can show me that I can make them by myself, and also just, go ahead and start building up a good supply of classroom material potentially for the future.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And so once you made that choice and you got started on the program, what was that experience like for you, Christian?
I really enjoyed it. Very similar to some of the classes I had coming out of college. It's not as stressful because it's not as, go as some of those as college classes normally are. Like you could take it as at your own leisure, but I mean, the amount of lectures and time it takes is similar to what a 6-semester or a 6-month semester would be like. And in each lesson there's probably about maybe close to 3 hours worth of lectures and classroom viewing. So I mean, it's similar to about like a week worth of college lectures for one class. So it's very similar to that in my mind, at least. But like I said, not really near as stressful because you don't have tests or papers that are do or die. Like you can redo them if you need to, or if there needs to be corrections to them, and you also can just kind of take your time with it.
Okay, so the flexibility piece of the puzzle was kind of lessened the stress levels a bit. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's really fascinating how you're equating it with a college course load. That's a great perspective to have, coming straight out of university and equating it to, taking a class over a several month period. Yeah. That's great. Was there any aspect of the course in particular, Christian, that maybe helped you a lot or kind of gave you more perspective on what this future path might look like?
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the teachers teach in the classroom because it showed me what it'd be like, and it showed I know we have the activity books and stuff that described the different types of activities you could do, but seeing it be used kind of helps, put all the pieces together. So what, how it should work and how it should look in the classroom and what it will look at various, skill levels, whether they're beginning learners or they're more advanced and taking higher level classes, and how much, leeway you can give the students or how much you should help them, and somewhere in the middle if it's an intermediate class. And I also really enjoyed the activity or the assignments that were lesson planning because it helped me practice something, I'd never done before. And that was one of my biggest concerns was, lesson planning or how to lesson plan and then not take a whole afternoon. Like how to, get kind of, I guess, a structure down of knowing well, this is what needs to be in the lesson plan. And I mean, I can, use this for multiple different lessons and have kind of the same formula, but, change it up depending on what you're teaching and the vocabulary or the topic, the context at hand.
Mm-hmm. Have that structure that you can kind of plug things into as needed or adapt as needed. Yeah. Yeah. Is that comforting on some level? Be like, okay, I've got this structure to work with.
Yeah. It's a whole lot better than, having nothing and just being come home from teaching a class or something and, not knowing what to do for the next day, not having any structure at all. It helps knowing that you just have something that okay, as long as I know what I'm going to teach tomorrow, I can know how to teach it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When we've had folks on the course, Christian, who maybe started teaching initially without their TEFL, that's hands down, probably the most common thing that we hear them say is oh my gosh, I'm just completely stressed out because I thought maybe I just used the textbook, right? That's a logical conclusion, but textbook different from a lesson plan,
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. Well, hey, the last thing that I always ask folks when they're on this call is, do you have any advice? So if someone came to you and they're like, Christian, I'm just kind of on the fence. I'm thinking this whole maybe living overseas, teaching English, it sounds really cool, but I'm scared, I'm hesitant. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I guess I'm in a little bit of a special spot because I've been abroad before, not for an extremely long period of time, but at least for a month and a half at a time. So those were some of the best experiences in my life of being abroad because you get to meet so many new people in so many different ways, and they think differently than you, but also they want to be around you because you're different. You speak something that they want to learn about. And so I've always, I still, even now, even though it's been my goal for probably 5 years at this point to that be my end point, I still have doubts of well, what if I miss home, or what if, all the what if questions that can pop into your head. But I know that if I don't do it, if it's something that, intrigues me, I always look back and wonder, like, what if, like, what it would have been like if I did it when I pulled back. So I know it'd always be better, even if it's just for a year, to, try something. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And you can always come back after, a year or however long you're working for is over. But that's always been how I've approached it, is like, it could be a rough year, but also it could be a very good year and, spark a whole career or a whole different life than if you didn't do it. So I think the benefits outweigh the risks there.
Well said. Well said. Thanks so much, Christian.
Yes, ma'am.